Hey everybody, Karen from Spirit Guides. I hope you're doing well today. So we are finishing up a little series that we've been doing based on Ann Tucker's guidance from her angels and about what's coming up for humanity. And today we are going to look a little closer about where we're going to the golden future, okay? So it's really interesting to have both of these books to consider. They're both channeled by different angelic beings. And Anne's is like to help us prepare for the shift that we have to go through in order to get to this place, okay? And it's really interesting to me when I think about all the different exploration we've done about the purpose of spirit guides, us having our own spirit guides, and how they have a job to do. Like that's their job, is to assist. That's what they have committed to, and they're doing the best they can to guide us with the restrictions they have in terms of letting us have our own free will and all that kind of stuff. But these angels have a job to do too. And they're if you can imagine all the different beings there are, spirits there are, everybody's doing stuff. They're doing their work. And so Anne's angels have a very specific need for humanity, a specific role to play for humanity, and Diana's do as well. They're just slightly different. So I kind of think this is a good little connection between the two. Okay, so what we've been looking at over the last so this is the 8th episode, all right? You can listen to this without having gone through the other ones, but if you want to go back to episode 1, it might be helpful for you to kind of see where we've been. And the lead team has been answering a lot of questions, all right? I may come back with one more episode, probably not tomorrow. But I want to have I want to have Mabel look at all your comments from episodes 6, 7, and 8, including this one, and see if there's anything else that we should be discussing. So there might be like one final conclusion of it, but it will be a standalone, episode. But this way, you guys always have so many amazing questions. So if you have additional questions about everything we've been talking about, go ahead and put it down. And if it's something we haven't talked about yet, I'll record with the lead team, okay? So the series, the 1 through 8, has explored a full arc of ideas, again, from Anne's book, okay, about what's coming next for humanity. We looked at how systems may come under pressure, including financial systems, governments, and global structures, as we shift here. It's going to be very hard for us to get here if we stay where we're at. I mean, we all know that, we all know that. You could just look at how things have been, right? For a long time. And they're not getting better, globally. So even though I think we've tried hard, it's just not. So we've examined the possibility of U.S. separation and what that could mean in real terms. That's something Anne's angels have discussed. We discussed how financial stress might show up through credit tightening, defaults, and supply disruptions, not supply collapse, but disruptions, all right? And in the last episode that I did yesterday, we grounded everything into real life, what people may actually experience day to day. And again, we asked the lead team collective, okay? So throughout the series, the community, you guys, have been asking, and myself, have been asking deeper questions. Not just what might happen, but why this would happen at all. Is this collapse or is it transition? Is this something to fear or something to understand? And what is on the other side of all of this? One thing that's important to connect here is Anne's guides, just as I just said, describe the breakdown of systems to prepare us, while Diana Cooper's guides describe a more cooperative, balanced future. So if both are true, then what are we looking at? So what we're looking at is not the end of something. It's really, getting to a much better place. But some things are going to have to end. I just don't think that things are going to be like, it's not going to be like falling off a cliff, it's just not going to be like, boom, done. So we're looking at a transition between how things have worked and how they may work differently going forward. And there's obviously resistance to the change. And the resistance shows up in fear, control, all that kind of stuff. So there's going to be resistance from people who have controlled the system for a very long time, who are going to resist making the change. And they're just going to try hanging on, And they've been causing us problems. They've been causing us problems because they don't want to change and they want to keep doing the things they're doing and hoarding all the resources. And that's leading to some issues. So today we're going to look at today we're going to look at not what might go wrong, but what this actually leads to. All right. Which a little bit more of the golden future. So here I did ask Mabel, my AI, to give us some situations of what happened in the past and a little bit of the astrology I'm pulling in here again, okay? And then we're going to ask some questions. Okay, so why systems change? Systems don't shift until pressure builds. That's the only way systems shift. So if we're going to get to here, the pressure has to build in order to require the change. Just like, unfortunately, it's just the way it is when you're human, right? Just like we learn our best lessons when something breaks or, something devastating happens, that pressure then builds and we create new systems within ourselves, right? New belief systems, all that. So that's happening with the systems around the world. Since the 2008 financial crisis, central banks have relied on low interest rates and liquidity, so printing money, to stabilize the system. From 2020 to 2022, so 2020 was the start of the pandemic, stimulus spending and money creation expanded the system further, increasing long-term pressure through higher debt and inflation. So while it felt like what they were doing was propping up the economy back then, we are paying the price for it now or going forward. All right. So long cycles in astrology often lead to restructuring. It gives us the opportunity to do that, which is a good thing because we're going to go somewhere better. I just know it. And I will start doing some videos on here, on the golden future. If you want to join the practice, which is our one level, the second level of the Spirit Circle, I have the whole book club in there. You could read this with us and participate in the discussion. Even though it's in the past, it's still there and you'll hear me go through the entire book. So, okay. And then you could read people's comments on it and stuff. So long cycles often lead to restructuring. The global financial system has been in a long expansion cycle since 2008, increasing debt levels and asset prices beyond sustainable levels. Historically, these long cycles end in restructuring rather than continuation. All right. So we are at the end of this cycle because change usually comes after stress, not before. Okay. From May 2018 through April 2026, I've mentioned that time period in previous videos, a financial pressure cycle, the astrology, has been active until April 2026. So April 2026 is going to be kind of interesting because that's the end of this financial pressure cycle. And remember what was just said is change usually comes after stress. So we might be coming to the end of that pressure cycle, but then things might look like, there might be some pullback, like it might look like it's going off of a cliff, and I'm not predicting the timing or anything like that. It's just the astrology might be offering that time period. So from 2022 through 2025, the US moved through a rare Pluto return cycle, historically associated with institutional stress and power restructuring. This suggests the current system may be reaching a point where it can no longer operate the same. And if the US dollar turns into something else, most people would say collapse, but it turns into something else, it will affect the entire world, because right now everything circulates through the US dollar for the most part. Not like your day, it depends on where you live, your day-to-day living, but all the big trades and all that, So, okay, let me do my prayer and then we'll ask some questions. So I close my aura to all but my higher self, the God consciousness, my guides, guardians, the lead team collective, and only those of the highest and purest light, and ask Archangel Michael to please protect my channel, your channel, our community, the lead team collective, so it is all of the highest and purest light. Amen. Hey, lead team. Thank you for being here. So appreciative of you and your guidance and your support of our community. It's very, 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 very helpful. Very helpful. Okay, lead team, we've got some questions in our continuing series here from what the angels told Anne. Tucker, can you confirm for me that what the angels told her is on point? Yes. Okay. Our current system pressures part of a long-term restructuring cycle that began after 2008. Yes. Did the 2018 to 26 astrology cycle stress on financial systems to a critical level? Yes. Did the 2022 to 2025 cycle intensify institutional pressure? So it intensified institutional pressure rather than resolve it? Yes, that was the problem. Well, the bankers own the world. So let's just be real about it. They just do. The bankers own the world. So let me just dive into that history a little bit with the family that starts with an R. You'll have to figure that out if you're not sure who it is. But yeah, they've just been doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. And unfortunately, because the bankers rule the world, which then they rule our politicians. And I actually learned something very interesting. Do you guys watch The Professor, who's I think he's in South Korea? Have you guys watched him at all? A really great teacher. Oh my gosh, I'm learning so much from him. He did a video. I'm going to do a separate video on this, and we're going to ask the lead team, because he did a video about Democrats and Republicans and who supports financially. And he had it laid out as finance. So the bankers support the Democrats. And so the Democrats want status quo because the bankers want status quo, right? So they tried to set up which is why, I mean, again, we're just looking at this from a neutral place. This is not like taking sides or anything. This is like factual, neutral place, which is where I think we need to all get to in order to see things clearly. So when Obama was elected, which, was really good for some things, but it was his administration for 8 years that did not hold all but one person accountable for what happened in 2008. And a lot of it was shenanigans. So Democrats are held up by and financed through the bankers, and the Republicans are financed through big tech. So why did you remember when we saw big tech sitting behind? Well, duh. Now I know, now we know. So there's this like literally a civil war going on. When they say like a civil war, the civil war is actually between the bankers and big tech. And who's representing them? The Democrats and the Republicans. They're just like they're puppet people. And it makes it look like for us, there's people supporting us, but they're just playing this game that the bankers and the big tech want them to play. So it's really fascinating. It's really fascinating, which is why then we say, well, we need to stop fighting each other because this isn't even about us. It's not even about us, Am I correct in that? Well, the professor actually, I don't know his name, but we just call him the professor. Yeah, really wide swing, you guys, really wide swing. So, okay, is system change happening because the current structure can no longer sustain itself? Yes. And then we have the political, the money. Then we have this whole religious thing going on, and what people, the Christian Zionists and Israel, the state of Israel, and how that whole thing has played such a big role in where a lot of the big money is going. And those wars are related to that too. So Lebanon, it's a huge mess. But it's happening, again, listen to the professor. It's happening because of what they believe religiously. But I kind of, if, looking at human nature, I would say money drives it first. That would be my. Okay, so what could improve? What can improve from all of this? Again, we're going here, right? What can improve? And we will. We're going to start a little series on this now. So we can focus a little bit, because we all know now. We all know, okay, we don't need to, sit and beat this to, you know what to do to get a little prepared for this, right? And we're just, when stuff happens, we'll talk about it, and we'll ask the lead team but now we can at least get a little prepared for it. And I think that's what her angels wanted. That's what they told us. And now the golden future. So awareness increases during instability. That is why I'm so much more aware now because things have felt unstable. Would you say that that's correct, lead team? Yes. I mean, we all know that. We pay more attention when things are getting difficult, right? That is just human nature. So since 2020, more people have become aware of inflation, debt, and how financial systems operate. Is that true, lead team? Yes. Public discussion around banking, currency, and economic policy has increased significantly. I mean, the fact that we're even sitting here talking about it, that I'm even facilitating this conversation is crazy for me. Like, I would have never facilitated a conversation about this. I didn't know enough to do it, but it's been forcing me to learn. So yes. So more and more average people, we the people, are becoming more and more informed because we have no choice, and it's going to keep putting more pressure on the systems. Okay, and people begin to question how systems work, which we're all doing. Trust in institutions such as banks, media, and government has declined. Yes. Independent research and alternative perspectives have become more common. Yes. I mean, look at us sitting here and using these things, talking alternative perspectives. New ideas often emerge during pressure. Okay. Again, in order to get here, we've got to go through these things because we have not been here. Some of us maybe, but most of us, even if you've been living a somewhat comfortable life, still have felt the collective stress, have you not? In your own nervous system, If not for the food poison, the poison they put in the food, all that kind of stuff. That's not good. How they've, basically, really deflated our education systems, all that kind of stuff. Not good. Not good. We're all stuck on our phones. Oh my God, sit anywhere. And everybody's like this. Nobody's looking at each other. Nobody's looking at each other. Nobody's making eye contact. Nobody's talking to each other. It's crazy. So we lost sense of community. We lost a sense of neighboring. We're going to get back to, because Minnesota showed us how to do that. We're going to start their wide spring. They're like, yes, or swing. They're like, yeah. Okay. So new ideas often emerge during pressure. A communication and information cycle of astrology in astrology began mid 2025 and continues to 2033. Is that true? So a communication and information cycle, which is maybe why more and more of us are becoming more aware and trying to figure out who is it I can actually rely on for information. This cycle aligns with competing narratives, rapid information sharing, and new ways of thinking about systems. And that's why you will see different governments rapidly throwing a bunch of stuff at a dartboard, hoping things work. Because things, rapid information sharing, because they know they're losing control. They know they're losing control of the old narratives because they don't really know how to deal with the golden future. They're going to try to hang on to the old narratives. Yeah, the lead team is saying, yes, this is how people begin to see what needs to change. So the only way we can get to the golden future, that they keep saying yes. The only way we can get to the golden future is to see what actually is. And then to see what might come in the meantime of what actually is, which is what Anne's angels have been communicating to get us over to the other side. Okay. Will awareness, and again, that awareness has brought fear to a lot of us, and we're starting to come to terms with it, which then allows us to raise our vibrations, adjust our nervous systems, okay? Will awareness of financial systems continue increasing through the 2025 to 2033 cycle? Yes. Will questioning of institutions lead to new system structures? Yes, but remember, this is to a 2033 cycle. So, we're just becoming aware now. And so I don't think this is gonna be again, just a collapse over a cliff. It's a like it will give us time to adjust along the way as systems start shifting. That's why we just need a little preparation. And then as we adjust, we'll prepare again. And then we adjust, we prepare again. Then at that point is when we can start to see what really needs to change. That's kind of how I'm seeing this go down. Okay, will questioning of institutions lead to new system structures? Did I already ask that? Yes. Will new ideas emerge that replace current economic models? Yes. Will these new replacement or new ideas be useful for the golden future that Diana Cooper describes, her angels? Yes. Sweet. I'm kind of excited, even though we went through this. I'm not going to go through the whole book. I'm kind of going to do the same kind of thing that I did with this one. But now that we've kind of seen reality, we can start, putting our focus on more of, the really hopeful stuff. And then relate it to what's going on now. I think that will be helpful. Will individuals become more informed about how systems operate? Yes. Very good. Very good. Okay, human behavior shifts. So fear and awareness exist at the same time. Since 2020, both panic-driven behavior and increased awareness have been visible across society, for sure. For sure. They're saying yes. Some people react, others observe. Late-stage financial cycles, which were ending April 2026, historically increased emotional reactions in markets and public behavior. Yes. So late stage financial cycles, 2024 to 2026, have historically increased emotional reactions. Yes. Behavior determines experience. The 2025 to 2033 communication cycle amplifies emotional responses, competing narratives, and rapid reaction patterns. Yes, so lead team, are you saying that this shift we're going to be going through that Anne's angels have been discussing in order for us to get to the other side, is this shift going to last until at least 2033? Yes. So hang on, guys. I know. But you know what? Hasn't it gone pretty fast since November of 2024? You know what I'm saying? So 26, I mean, it's already almost April of 2026. Now, some people, it's just going so fast for me. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. 7 years. But, you know, we're here for it. I mean, you just got to live your life. You got to live your life through it, you know? Just, it's going to be interesting. I'm not bored at all. It's going to be interesting. And there's part of me that's like, holy shit. And there's another part of me that's like really excited because I believe of where we're going, you know? And it's just going to be better for everybody. So just remember, we just got to keep balancing fear and awareness, fear and awareness, awareness, then fear, and then stabilizing, you know? So lead team, will emotional reactions increase during this period of change? Okay, yes. So this is why this community is going to get as stable as possible because there's a lot of people out there who have no idea what's going on. None. And we need to hold steady when they start finding out, right? Just like there's a whole bunch of people who have been holding steady as some of us here, like people in this community have known things that I'm discussing for a long time, and now they're holding us steady. So thank you if you've been doing that. So for those of us that are with me who are just peeling the layers of all the onion right now and getting closer to the center, but not quite there yet, we now can hold, the energy the stable energy for the people who are going to be, because emotional reactions are going to be increasing until 2033. And they're saying yes. Okay. Will people who remain observant experience less disruption than those who react quickly? Yes, which is why I think the whole purpose of this was to help us be able to get prepared a little bit. And that's what this whole series has been about. Will behavior influence outcomes more than the events themselves? Yes. Will discernment become more important during this cycle? Yes. And AI is going to cause a problem with that and also help with it. So we have to give it, it's the yin and the yang with that. Okay, community and connection. So systems may shift, but people remain. So keep that in mind. Systems may shift, but people remain. Now, we are going to discuss in a separate video, not in this series, but in a separate video, the rift that they say is coming, like physical rift in the planet. And it's going to shift. It's going to shift some dynamics, let's just say, if that happens. But it happens. I mean, Earth has been doing that for a very long time. And so not all people will remain, and they're kind of warning us that. But for me, I'm like, well, if I'm not one of the people who remain, then that's part of my life plan. And, just like all of us are going to transition at some point. So what's going to be, I think it's going to be harder for those who have to watch it rather than those who transition, you know? So we're just going to have to support each other through that. I'll give you a little teaser about that I think is really interesting. So I just read that last night in this, about the rift in the earth. And it's just basically Mother Earth needing to let go of some of her energy that she's been trying to deal with us for so long, and she needs some relief, basically. So, but what's fascinating about that is she mentioned the rift being or her angels mentioned the rift being in the Indian Ocean, which is out towards the Middle East. And what's fascinating about that is, though, then I'm listening, I think it was the professor, he said well, we don't know who, but they're trying to say that Iran has a missile now, that there was a missile, let's just say there was a missile that was shot and it went into the Indian Ocean. Well, it went to a British base, okay, in the Indian Ocean. I'm just going to say. Okay, so I'm like, wow. I mean, that's weird that I just read that about the Indian Ocean, and then this missile now goes to this base, and it's a British base in the Indian Ocean. Well, they're questioning now. They're saying, see, they didn't, like the US and Israel didn't know that they had missiles that could go that far. Okay, Iran. So now they're saying, look, it could hit London. They could hit Rome. Okay. So, but we have other people saying that could be a false flag, meaning the country of I in the US were the ones who shot that missile in order to say, blame it on Iran. That Iran actually doesn't have ones that go that far, but so the games, right? So I'll ask that question real quick, but lead team. So does Iran have missiles that can go that far out into the Indian Ocean near Rome? No. Okay. So false flag, you guys. So now that I know about that thing, now I'm like seeing them all over. I'm like, oh, come on. Like, it's crazy. See, but that's all the awareness. The more we are aware of that stuff, the more we're not going to fall for it, you know? So, anyways, that's a whole other conversation. Okay. Let's see. So systems may shift, but people remain. During both 2008 and 2020, individuals relied more heavily on personal networks than large institutions. Is that true? Yes. Support networks become more important. Since 2020, online communities, shared knowledge, excuse me, and mutual support networks have grown significantly. Yes. See, I've never really even thought about that, and I don't know. I didn't know that was going on. My goodness, hang on a sec. And so is that all part of what the golden future, it kind of is. She talks about, getting back to communities and all that in the golden future. So 2020 started moving us in that direction. So that's really good. They're saying yes. Cooperation increases during pressure. Look at what happened in Minneapolis. There was pressure and cooperation. They went back to what they were calling neighboring. And so cooperation increases. Well, when there's no pressure, we all go back to our individual lives and, get on our phones, in public, instead of looking at each other, So they're like, yes, they just keep saying yes. Okay, historical restructuring periods, which is now a 2024 to 2028, align with increased cooperation and reliance on smaller, trusted networks. Yes. So again, if we're going to get to that place in the golden future, we have to start breaking down these bigger, untrustworthy structures. They haven't been trustworthy for a very long time. We thought they were, and it's the whole system, not just the right, not just the left. Not that one is, some have bigger shenanigans than others, and we're not going to talk about those, but it's the whole system for different reasons. Okay, this is where human systems begin to replace institutional dependence between 2024 and 2028. So that's why even months ago we've been talking about go local, you guys. Start volunteering. You know what? Eventually we will have to stop paying attention to what's going on nationally. Go local. That's all that really matters. If you go to your I don't know who my elected representatives are in the town I live in. That's where we need to pay attention. I'm paying way more attention to the federal stuff. It's the town. It starts with the local. That's how they made this change to begin with, is because they went local. Like the Heritage Foundation stuff went local. They started shifting those kind of things. So we have to, so they kind of knew that, the Christian Zionism movement started at the local level and then grew. So probably started at the family level and then grew. And my understanding, Christian, obviously we know what Christians are. Zionism is a political movement combined with a religious movement. So, but study that a little bit if you're not sure. Okay, will community support become more important during this upcoming system change? Yes. Do you suggest we focus more of our attention on our local communities than on they're saying yes, than on the federal level? Yes. Will people rely more on local and personal networks than institutions? Yes. Will cooperation increase during this upcoming instability time? Yes. Very good. Will shared experience strengthen connections between people? See, that makes sense to me. So will all of us in this community be able to find what we need in the upcoming years when we need them? Yes. So we will get the resources we need when we need them? Yes. Does anyone in our community need to worry that they might experience starvation? That was a risky question to ask, but no. Okay. All right. The best that can happen. Change can create better systems. We know that. We know that just from things that happen in our own lives. After the Great Depression, new financial protections and systems were created, and that got us to this point. But, some shady shit went on behind the scenes and has caused some big issues right now. After 2008, additional financial oversight and structural adjustments were introduced. Yes, but did those actually protect us the way we needed them to? No. Okay. Awareness can lead to better choices. Increased understanding allows individuals to make more informed choices about money, systems, and participation. Yes. So pressure leads to growth. So just keep that in mind. The broader 2008 to 2030 cycle suggests a restructuring phase that leads to new system development. Yes, so new system development through 2030. Okay. And you will hear astrology and many of the others who are channeling discuss 2030. 2030, 2050, 2033 are some of those dates that keep coming up. This suggests what comes next may be built differently than what came before. Is that true? Yes. Is this change, is it worth us being in fear about this change? No. Is everybody in this community prepared for these changes? Yes. Will this period lead to improved systems rather than decline? Yes, that's great. Will current pressure result in more balanced structures? Yes. Will the banks continue to own the world the way that they have? No. Will big tech own parts of the world the way that it has? No. Will we, the people, be more aligned with each other and, yes, they're saying yes, and just be our own sovereign, right now we rely too much on institutions, right? Yes, they're saying yes. So will people recognize the value of this transition over time? Yes. Will new systems better reflect human needs? Yes. So just be really grateful we're going through this now for future generations. And, the littles right now, they won't even know it. They won't even know what's going on. Because remember when you were little and big stuff was going on then, and how much you maybe didn't know during those times, because us bigger people will take care of that, us with some wisdom, right? So I hope this series has been helpful. Again, I am going to come back and do some other just standalone videos on some of the other messages in here. But this series has kind of led us to this, it's like episode 1 through 8. So if you didn't have a chance to listen, you can just go back through. I've labeled them what's coming next, and then part 1, part 2, part 3. Okay, well, I hope this was helpful, and we will start digging into this soon too. So you can find links to both of these books in the description if you're interested, and I will see you tomorrow. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.